What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some crazy battles in the Great League Remix Cup featuring XL Shadow Magnemite, which if you didn't know has an even higher attack stat for the Great League than Shadow Mewtwo. Now shout out to Zionic and Super Shadow number 0 as they reminded me that I've got a 98% Shadow Magnemite just sitting in my storage begging to be powered up. Now the idea behind this team is pretty simple. We've got a supreme counter to Skarmory in the lead, but if there's a Mud Boy or something like a Poliwrath, which typically pairs with a Skarmory in the lead, we can say swap into Golisopod, hopefully bait out the Skarmory, keeping it far away from Ariados, which does get completely walled by the Skarmory, and then depending on that lead, you can then choose whether to fight for switch advantage or shield advantage. What I will mention is that after doing the Glass Cannon Roulette video and Giovanni's team, I started these battles all the way down in the 1900 ELO range, and it's surprisingly not that easy to run a team like this because often the teams don't make a lot of sense, so it's hard to decide when to shield and preserve a Pokemon versus letting it go because you have a rough idea of what's in the back. I also feel like that's why a lot of trainers do get stuck in this sort of ELO rating. It's because it's very hard to read teams, so even if you borrow a content creator's team, play it the way they're suggesting you should be playing it, you could just get hit by a hard counter in the back that you were not expecting to see. But with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What's the most underrated Pokemon for the Great League Remix Cup meta? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we Shadow Magnemite into Obstagoon. So obviously not a good lead up against a counter user. Gonna say swap into my Golisopod. Also not too ideal since they are triple resisting the Shadow Claw damage. But I'm gonna let the first move go through as they go for a Night Slash, and then they swap into their Skarmory, but they're actually still running Air Slash, which doesn't really make a difference for the Magnemite. It does double resist all of Skarmory's moves, but up against my Golisopod, it's a little bit worse just because they can't fully farm me down. But here we do get the Liquidation debuff, meaning the opponent has to shield that in order to preserve switch advantage, and now we've got a shield advantage. We are looking to be in a great position. We come back in with the Shadow Magnemite, can safely let whatever they throw go through. They go for a Sky Attack. I can just fully Thundershock, farm them all the way down. I will come out with a Magnet Bomb loaded. This is going to do huge damage to the Obstagoon. So we do grab that shield from the opponent, the final shield from the opponent. We're now going to swap into Ariados, and I'm going to let the first move go through. Of course, we are running Lunge, so you could argue that I should shield the first one since I'm probably going to shield the next one anyways, but I don't know if they're just going to swap out after I go for the debuff here. So let's see, the opponent is going to fire off the next charge move. We are getting fairly low, so I want to use my shield there, and they've got Jellicent in the back, and this is where Trailblaze is so good. We can just boost our attack and deal super effective damage up against Jellicent, which previously we would have only been able to hit for resisted damage with Lunge and Cross Poison, but now I can go for a second Trailblaze. This will be enough damage to take out the Jellicent, boosting our attack once again, and we can go for a Lunge up against the Obstagoon, fully undercharging it. Lunge takes out the Obstagoon, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So a pretty awkward matchup here because if they do shield, they can probably just Dragon Breath farm me down. But we go for the Magnet Bomb, and the opponent underestimates the damage output from Shadow Magnemite. That was insane damage. They're now going to come in with a Charger Bug, which is not ideal just because we can't swap out of this matchup. So if the opponent does have a Skarmory in the back, unfortunately, we are going to have to use our Golisopod up against it, but it's not too bad of a matchup, especially with a shield advantage. Now we're going to come in with the Ariados here, and the opponent's going to overfarm quite a lot. I'm just going to let the first move go through, as the opponent's going to go for an X-Scissor bait for whatever reason. Don't really know why, but I'm going to fire off the Lunge straight away. Lunge from this range does KO, and they've got a Poliwrath in the back, and this is a really good matchup for us. Once again, another matchup where Trailblaze is going to come in handy, as Trailblaze does hit for super effective damage. We don't even need to use a shield or anything. The opponent's actually not going to throw straight away. We just go for a Lunge, and because we boosted our attack, that does easily take out the Poliwrath, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Steelix in the lead, and this is absolutely awful for us. I'm just going to stay in here. Honestly, we are at least resisting their damage, and they're just going to fire off a 35 energy charge move. I thought it was going to be the Breaking Swipe, but it's actually Psychic Fangs, which is a little bit worse for us just because that does hit full super effective damage up against our Ariados, which I will probably end up aligning it to because I'm going to swap out here, bank a Magnet Bomb on my Magnemite, and then come in with the Golisopod. Now, they only go for a Psychic Fangs there. If they went for Earthquake, that would of course be be resisted, so it wouldn't make a lot of sense. But now, because of the debuff, they will be able to farm me down, but not before I make it to a second liquidation. And this should be enough damage to threaten a shield from the opponent, otherwise we would take them out. And we do have that Magnet Bomb loaded. It is resisted damage, but I'm going to fire it off straight away. And they are debuffed in their defense, so Magnet Bomb, even resisted, takes out the Charger Bug. But once again, unfortunately, we are aligned to the Steelix. I'm going to fire off another Magnet Bomb straight away. Unfortunately, the opponent's going to go for a full farm down here, and there's no way we're going to be able to get a triple resisted Poison Sting farm down up against the Steelix. I let the first move go through, which is questionable, but I feel like they're going to make it to 2 more moves, so they would do more damage. I'm now going to go for a lunge straight away, hoping to just get rid of the Steelix as soon as possible, and the opponent does let the Steelix go down, but they've got Poliwrath in the back now. I could go for the lunge bait here, but honestly, Trailblaze probably wasn't going to get a shield anyway, so I fire off the Trailblaze, and you can see, unfortunately, we just don't have enough health here. I'm going to swap out, clear the defense debuff, hopefully make it to another charge move, but it doesn't matter. They've still got a shield remaining. If I stayed in, tried to go for a catch there, because of the double debuff to my defense, they probably could have just counter farmed me down, so they wouldn't have even needed to throw a charge move. So either way, we were pretty much done as soon as we saw a Steelix in the lead, but GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, we see Greedent in the lead. Unfortunately, they are running Mud Shot, which is double super effective, and kind of weird about Magnemite compared to a lot of the other XL Pokemon that you might build that are like first stage evolutions, is that it actually doesn't have much HP. Typically, you're going to get like high 100, well, not high hundreds, but like over 100 HP for these little Pokemon. But Magnemite only has an 89 HP stat, so not that great. But we're going to swap into Golisopod, go for the back-to-back X-Scissors, grab both shields from the Shadow Victory Bell, and we've got a really good answer in the back with our Ariados. So I'm just going to let this move go through. Just going to be a Leaf Blade. That is going to be double resisted. And what I like to do, sometimes anyways, is go for Trailblaze here. Obviously, this is double resisted. It actually probably won't KO, but it's going to boost my attack, so we can just ramp up. The opponent obviously only have, well, they have got no shields remaining, so I'm going to shield up the Body Slam from the Greedent, and once again, there's a Jellicent in the back, and Trailblaze is coming in clutch. Let me know if you guys even remembered that Trailblaze was on Ariados. I tried to get it really early this season, but I ran out of TMs on the first day. It was meant to be in my team along with the Alolan Raichu and the Chinchou, but unfortunately I couldn't get any more TMs, so I just had to use a different Pokemon there. But we're now going to go for the lunge up against the Greedent, easily taking them out there as we were 3 stages buffed in our attack, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, amazing lead for us, and then they swap into Carbink, and oh my gosh, we are completely core breaking this team with an XL Shadow Magnemite. Go for the Magnet Bomb, and nearly one-shots a Carbink from full health. That is insane. Now they come in with Venusaur. Honestly, you could argue that I should have just swapped into my Golisopod, as obviously our switch clocks are very much misaligned, but we're going to go for the lunge here. Hopefully grab a shield. I don't really care what they do, to be honest. We do grab that shield. I'm not going to fire off a charge boost straight away, as I expect them to swap out, but they actually fire off another Sludge Bomb here. And now they do eventually swap. They make a nice catch, but I was actually trying to debuff their attack anyways, because that way Magnemite can come in and probably not even have to use a shield, just fully farm them down. So we go for a second lunge here. Now we're going to come in with the Magnemite. I'm going to fire off a charge move anyways, just because they do have quite a lot of energy, and the opponent will use their final shield. We've still got both our shields remaining, so I'm going to go for a massive flex here. No shield the Ice Beam. I thought they might bait with an Aerial Ace, so that was probably not the right play, but we are still healthy enough to make it to a charge move, unless the opponent swaps and snipes with their Venusaur. And now suddenly this isn't looking too good for us. I'm going to go for lunge. We lose CMP, which I didn't realize, so certainly not ideal there. Can't really afford to shield that either, so we come in with the Golisopod. I wasn't sure if they were on their 5 or 6 cycle for the Frenzy Plant, so I'm actually just going to farm to the back-to-back X-Scissors. Didn't want to lose CMP up against the Venusaur once again, and now X-Scissor will be enough damage to take out the Venusaur, and X-Scissor will be enough damage to also take out the Mantine from about 3 HP remaining, and I'm able to take that game. But the opponent made it a lot closer than it should have been, so kind of poor gameplay from me, but GG's to that opponent there. Into next game, another great lead leading into Dugong. If I was running Volt Switch, then I probably could put them into range where we could just take them out with 1 discharge, but unfortunately they barely live that, so I'm going to swap into my Golisopod, catch the charge move. We do resist everything. They're actually running Liquidation though, which is quite surprising. The opponent comes in with a Galvantula, so not ideal for me. We can go for a Liquidation of our own, and Obviously, I got Liquidation debuff in the first battle of this video, but honestly, I think I probably only got like 2 or 3 in the whole 25 battles I did with this team, which is kind of crazy. It is, I believe, similar to Crunch, a 30% debuff chance, but I just didn't seem to get them unless it just wasn't necessary. But here, we go for the Magnet Bomb. That nearly KOs even after they debuffed me, I think. And they've got a Poliwrath in the back once again. They tried to make a catch, smart play, but not the best timing there as I was farming to the Trailblaze anyways. We do connect with the Trailblaze, and honestly, I could possibly flex and try and shield, or try and no-shield that, but there's no point in doing that. We can now go for a lunge. The opponent should just be letting this move go through, and that's exactly what they do. They let the Poliwrath go down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Jellicent in the lead, so great lead. The opponent's going to save swap into Decidueye, and it is going to be running Frenzy Plant, so I'm actually able to let this move go through, as this is just going to be a Spirit Shackle. Could have been a Brave Bird if they did overfarm a little bit there. I probably would have used my shield, but we don't have to shield that. And now because we lunge, debuff them, we'll actually get to a second lunge before they throw the next Spirit Shackle. So lunge is going to grab the shield from the opponent, and I can just safely let this move go through. As the opponent is going to go for another Spirit Shackle, doesn't threaten to take us out. We can get to another lunge here. Do they want to double shield their Decidueye? Yes, they do. So they want to keep the energy, which makes a lot of sense, as they're now going to be able to swap out back into the Jellicent. So I'm going to shield up the Surf here. I'm going to farm to nearly 100 energy here. Go for the Discharge. This will be enough damage to take out the Jellicent from this range. And we've got a second charge we've loaded. But unfortunately, they've got Charger Bug in the back. They will wall this energy, so it doesn't matter that we overfarmed a lot. They can just go for a full Volt Switch farm down. We will get them very low, but unfortunately, that's not ideal because my Ariados is also very low. So I'm going to come in with the Golisopod, expecting the opponent not to throw straight away. We've got to remember as well that the Decidueye in the back does have a charge move loaded. So they go for the Discharge. We're going to try and go for the Shadow Claw farm down. Unfortunately, we're not able to get it. They do make it to another charge move, so I'm going to go for the X-Scissor straight away, expecting them to swap, but they get the 0-turn swap, and then we lose CMP. Frenzy Plant nearly takes us out. We do get off an X-Scissor, but I think we're just too low to win this game. We take out the Decidueye, and it's a simultaneous KO there, and we do end up tying. So really well played by that opponent there, but GG's. And into the next battle, we're going to see an Abomasnow in the lead, so pretty good lead for us here as we do resist everything. We're going to go straight for the Magnet Bomb, and Magnet Bomb is once again going to nuke the opponent. They just do not appreciate how much damage the Shadow Magnemite can deal. And here I was expecting the opponent to throw straight away, so I go for the Magnet Bomb on the CMP tie, and that's resisted damage, by the way. The opponent also goes for Cross Poison. I will admit I wasn't paying attention there, so I didn't notice. I think I was watching a Yonkers stream at the time of doing these battles, so shout out to him. And we are going to now shield this up just because obviously they're running Lunge and Cross Poison, but I didn't realize that at the time because I wasn't paying attention. But now I'm going to no-shield the next one. It is just another Lunge, so that's fine with me. I'm now going to swap out just because they did debuff me twice. Going to come in with my Golisopod, and this should be a pretty routine win here. Just let this move go through as I go for a Shadow Ball. I should be able to make it to 2 Liquidations, and Liquidations themselves aren't really going to do too much damage here, but the Shadow Claw damage is really adding up. We've already got them into the yellow health range before hitting a charge move. We get them very low, and we do also have a Trailblaze loaded, so I'm just going to fire it off straight away. This is going to boost my attack, and actually they only have a Jellicent remaining anyway, so I'm able to take out the Jellicent there and take that game. So GG's to the opponent there, and into the next battle. This was actually the first battle I did with this team, and unfortunately, we're going to see the right call that I was aiming for. Just unfortunately, they had a Charge Bug as the third Pokemon, so Golisopod not going to be able to flip this matchup unless I double shield, but then I expect the opponent's probably just going to double shield as well, fully farm me down, and either way, it's not going to be great. So going to go for the X-Scissor there, grabbing at least one shield back from the opponent. And also the first few battles I did with this team, I was running Volt Switch on my Shadow Magnemite, which does come in clutch this time around as we do get the full farm down. I'm going to go for the Magnet Bomb, swap instantly into my Ariados, but if they do have the Skarmory in the back, unfortunately, it's going to be game over. So yeah, you can see the team didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. But GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we're going to see a Dragonair in the lead. So once again, going to go for a Magnet Bomb straight away, and this is going to be a CMP tie, which we do very easily win. Magnet Bomb is going to one-shot the Dragonair. They then come in with a Shadow Whiscash. I accidentally went for one extra Volt Switch there. This time it is the Skarmory coming in, and we've got the alignment that we want, or at least sort of what we want, as we can now go for a Liquidation. Liquidation does get them fairly low. I can just, well, actually, I'm going to shield this up just because we do wall the energy from the Whiscash, so that's kind of going to threaten the opponent to use their shields here. So we're going to go for a Liquidation. Liquidation is going to grab the shield from the opponent. We can go for another Liquidation, throwing on the CMP tie with the Skarmory, as they are going to double shield up against my Golisopod, and now we can just let this move go through. Sky Attack will be taking us out. We can come in with the Magnemite, get the Volt Switch farm down, swap instantly into Ariados. They do just blind throw the Mud Bomb there, so you could argue it would have been better to just stay in, but I wasn't expecting them to throw straight away. But either way, it doesn't matter. As long as they don't get a Skull debuff, we can just go for a Trailblaze, and this will easily be enough damage, as it is double super effective to take out the Shadow Whiscash, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, another Dragonair in the lead. So we are going to stay in with the Magnemite once again, throw on the CMP tire, which we do win. And is the opponent going to shield this time around? They no shield, but this time they do live it, so obviously better IVs on their Dragonair. They go for an Aqua Tail. I'm just going to shield that, go for the Volt Switch farm down, and the opponent then comes in with a Dugong, so they are core broken by the Shadow Magnemite. I'm going to go for a Discharge, and then I will swap into my Golisopod just because we do wall the energy here, so they're probably just going to go for an Icy Wind, debuff my attack, but I don't mind that too much. Icy Wind isn't going to do too much damage, and there is the Skarmory, so once again, it is working out to be in our favor. We can go for the Liquidation. Liquidation is going to not get a debuff, unfortunately, but it doesn't really matter. Second Liquidation will put them into range where we can quite easily farm them down with my Magnemite, although they do overfarm quite considerably. So let's see, the opponent goes for a Sky Attack. They are, I believe, 3 away from the next move, so they will actually get there in time, but I can just let Magnemite go down. They are definitely in Poison Sting farm down range. We get the farm down, and at this point, I think the opponent has just closed the app, as their final Pokemon is not coming in. They are seeing that we've got an Ariados in the back with a shield advantage, and we can just go for the Trailblaze. Trailblaze actually will not be enough damage to take out the Dugong from this range, but it doesn't matter. The opponent has clearly given up, and we can go for the Poison Sting farm down, taking out the Dugong, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Cradily in the lead. So this is a reasonably positive matchup here. But the opponent's going to swap into Alolan Marowak. Now, you might have noticed right from the beginning of this video, this team is very weak to fire. Only Golisopod is an answer to the fire types. Otherwise, Magnemite gets absolutely destroyed, and Ariados can't even hit for anything other than resisted damage up against fire types. So not ideal, but we're going to come in, and we do have the alignment that we want. Go for the back-to-back Liquidations, getting 2 defense drops this time around, actually. So this is where all my defense drops did come in this one battle. We can shield up the Bone Club. Unfortunate that they baited there, because they wouldn't have made it to another charge move anyways, and they did have enough energy for a Shadow Bone. But I go for the X-Scissor. That does huge damage. Then swap into a Shadow Machamp. There's no point swapping out here. We're just going to go for the Liquidation, get them incredibly low, and they're probably just going to have to blind throw a charge move straight away. So I'm anticipating it will not be a Rock Slide, it's just a Cross Chop. We can get the Poison Sting farm down. I'm actually going to swap there, catch the move. I'm also interested to see how much damage a Rock Slide does. It's resisted damage from, I mean, it is a Shadow Cradily, but Cradily is a pretty bulky Pokemon. But I'm able to take them out with the Magnet Bomb and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Charger Bug in the lead. So a bit of an awkward one here, as we do lose this. They do wall our energy, but likewise we wall their energy, but they're just going to be slightly faster to make it to the discharges. So, oh sorry, not discharge, the X-Scissor, which does the same damage as a discharge anyways. But here the opponent's going to swap into Shadow Swampert. And unfortunately, that's the annoying thing about Volt Switch, is that you just get locked in there. So if the opponent swaps, they get 2 Mudshot in for free before I can swap out, because I just can't get out of that Volt Switch animation. And that does really set me back, because now I have to shield there, because Hydro Cannon basically KOs. I'm going to go for the Liquidation. We don't get the defense drop there. I was hoping for the defense drop, and X-Scissor, I don't know if it does KO from this range or not, but we fire it off, and at this point I'm just going to let the move go through. Hydro Cannon will be enough damage to take us out. But we come in with the Ariados, and I'm going to shield the first charge move coming from the Swampert. I believe they're going to make it to back-to-back moves, but they swap back into Charge Bug. I swap out there. but I don't know why I swapped there. Obviously, they weren't going to go for a resisted X-Scissor, so bit of a mistake there. And then we don't even KO with the lunge, so another mistake as we fire off the charge move, but then they go for an X-Scissor, so I don't really know what's going on. Mistakes on both ends at this point. We're going to go for a lunge once again. This will debuff them. Unfortunately, we're still not going to be able to fully farm them down, so I fire off another one. I'm going to undercharge this so I can get the farm down, but the opponent can swap back into their Shadow Swampert, and I've made a huge mistake now. I did not need to go for the undercharge. As you can see, we outpaced the Swampert to the charge move. And now they've got a Leaf Blade. They are not debuffed anymore. Leaf Blade takes us out, and oh my gosh, I count how many mistakes I made in that battle. It's probably upwards of 5, which is really embarrassing, but it does happen sometimes. So GG's to that opponent. They did play reasonably well. And into the next battle, we're going to see the Charge Bug once again in the lead, but then they swap into Gligar. And this is actually fine with us. We've got 2 bug types in the back. Gligar is a bit of a core breaker to the team, but actually it's not that bad when you think that they do have to go, well, at least from full health, for a dig to take us out, because these wing attacks are going to be double resisted. They couldn't even farm us down there. They have to go for the Aerial Ace to take us out. So I'm going to come in with the Golisopod. Hopefully I can just shield one Aerial Ace and farm them down with Shadow Claws, but it will be very close. I'm going to shield the first move coming through. Aerial Ace will be grabbing my shield, and now they swap back into their Charge Bug. So I'm going to swap into my Ariados, and I'm going to let the first move go through here once again. They go for the X-Scissor. I don't know why a lot of Charger Bugs went for X-Scissor. I don't know if they just don't realize that poison does resist bug, but we're going to go for a lunge, and now even if they go for discharge, I can live this fairly well. So they go for the discharge. We can still get the poison sting farm down. I'm going to blind throw a Trailblaze here, and it ends up being a Jellicent, so that's really good for me. Trailblaze will hit for super effective damage. Boost my attack doesn't really make a difference in this matchup since they do take me out instantly, but we can now go for a Liquidation, grabbing the final shield from the opponent. And we got a little bit of visual lag there, but this is only 4 bubbles, so I will live that quite easily. They swap back into the Gligar. We can just go for the farm down, go for another Liquidation, and this will not KO, but it should put them into Shadow Claw farm down range, and I'm able to take out the Jellicent there and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see another Shadow Dragonair in the lead. So once again, going to play out this lead matchup. Go for the Magnet Bomb straight away. Pretty typical that a Shadow Dragonair will throw straight away. Magnet Bomb does grab a shield from the opponent, so I'm probably going to have to shield this up. They go for a Body Slam. We're going to swap into Golisopod, and I make a huge mistake here. I don't know why, but I thought it was 6 Shadow Claws to get to the first X-Scissor, so I could have fired off a charge move before having to tank that move there. So big mistake. We do take out the Dragonair, but you can see they've got Palossand in the back, and that is not good for my team. Of course, we do have a Trailblaze Ariados, but Trailblaze doesn't do too much damage. Poison Sting is going to be double resisted by the ground and ghost typing, so Trailblaze isn't going to do too much there. We have to throw another charge move to get rid of them. I'm going to shield this up. They full send the Shadow Ball. Now we can just go for a lunge, and I believe that was also a CMP tie. Lunge, because we are boosted, probably does KO from that range, so they do use their final shield. They go for the Shadow Ball, and now they've got Skarmory in the back. We're going to come in with the Magnemite, and I've got to be very careful about how I go about this. I'm going to undercharge this, hoping to put them into Poison Sting farm down range. But unfortunately, I undercharge it just slightly too much. I think if I hit one more bubble, we could get a full Poison Sting farm down, come out with a Trailblaze loaded, and KO the Palossand there. But I needed to be very precise. Unfortunately, I was not. So GG's to that opponent there. And into the next game, we see a Unova Stunfisk in the lead. So another core breaker to the team. I'm going to let the move go through here, but probably not the wisest decision, because now they can come in with Empoleon and go for a full resisted Waterfall farm down, which is certainly not going to be ideal. I do barely make it to an X-Scissor, but this shouldn't be grabbing a shield from the opponent. It does actually grab the shield though, so yeah, definitely shouldn't have shielded that, but I will definitely take that. We're going to come in with the Magnemite. I'm going to shield this up, and then I'm actually going to swap into my Ariados, just because I can get a small energy advantage, and the Magnemite isn't going to do too much up against the Stunfisk. They come back in with the Stunfisk. I'm not sure if they know about Trailblaze here, so I'm going to go for that Trailblaze, dealing super effective damage, boosting my attack, and now we actually don't have to land a second Trailblaze. I can safely go for lunge, so because of that, I'm going to shield the first move, but the opponent swaps and they catch the move onto their Clefable. This is resisted damage from that lunge. We are boosted though, so I'm actually going to go for a second lunge here, and that way I can quite easily live a Meteor Mash or even a Psychic if they are running it. Probably not though. And they go for the Meteor Mash. I'm now going to try and go for the farm down. I realize I'm not quite going to get there in time, so I swap into my Magnemite. This is going to be a double debuff, double resisted Meteor Mash there, so we do live that quite comfortably. I want them to shield this move, but the opponent's going to let the Magnemite go through. That still does huge damage. And then they don't commit to the farm down. I think they needed to go for the Mudshot farm down, but now we can go for a Poison Sting farm down, which is resisted, taking out the Unova and Stunfisk, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.